Think about the last time you felt truly free, when your choices, your actions, your thoughts were entirely your own. Now ask yourself, how often does that actually happen? Every day, in ways you might not even notice, invisible forces shape your decisions, social expectations, past traumas, unconscious fears. But what if I told you that the greatest prison you live in isn't made of walls or laws? It's made of ideas, of conditioning, of patterns buried so deep in your psyche that you mistake them for who you are. Most people assume they're in control, that their choices are conscious, their beliefs are theirs alone. But what if the opposite is true? What if the way you think, the way you react, even the way you dream has been sculpted by forces you've never questioned? Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, uncovered a shocking truth. You are not just one self. You are many. Beneath the surface of your awareness lies the shadow, the persona, the collective unconscious, all pulling your strings without your consent. In this exploration, we'll expose the hidden mechanisms that control you. We'll dive into Jung's revelations about the unconscious mind, the masks you wear to fit in, and the societal scripts you've internalized. And by the end, you'll discover the most liberating insight of all. You can reclaim your autonomy, not through force, but through awareness, by bringing the darkness into light, the unconscious into consciousness. Your mind is not a blank slate. It's an archive of inherited fears, borrowed identities, and unexamined assumptions. The words you use, the emotions you suppress, the roles you play, they're not accidents. They're programs, running silently in the background. Jung found that even our deepest desires are often not our own. They're imprints from parents, from culture, from the unresolved wounds of ancestors. But here's the key. What you can name, you can master. From the moment you were born, you were handed a script. Be this, don't be that. Fit in, stand out. These demands didn't just shape your behavior, they colonized your inner world. You learned to silence instincts, to numb intuition, to trade authenticity for approval. And the worst part? You did it willingly, because no one told you there was another way. But Jung's work reveals the exit. Individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating, not suppressing, every fractured part of yourself. Ask yourself, how often do you truly choose versus defaulting to habit, fear, or obligation? When you're angry, is it your anger or a reaction wired into you decades ago? When you doubt yourself, is it your voice or an echo of someone who once made you feel small? These are not philosophical questions. They're the difference between living your life and living someone else's. Jung called this the shadow, the parts of yourself you disown, the traits you deny. But here's the paradox. The more you reject your shadow, the more it controls you. Resentment you ignore becomes passive aggression. Fear you bury becomes self-sabotage. The key to freedom isn't perfection, it's ownership. Every emotion, every impulse, every flaw you acknowledge loses its power over you. This is where most people stop. They'd rather blame the world than confront their own complicity. But you're different. You're here because you sense the truth. No one can control you unless you surrender your awareness. Not your boss, not your past, not even your own mind. Once you learn its tricks, society has conditioned you to believe that freedom comes from external power, wealth, status, control over others. But Jung revealed the devastating truth. No amount of dominance over the world will free you if you're enslaved by your own psyche. The most oppressive rulers aren't dictators or laws. They're the invisible scripts whispering, "You're not enough. You don't deserve. This is all you can be." These scripts aren't yours. They're hand-me-downs from parents who projected their fears onto you, from cultures that rewarded conformity, from traumas that convinced you vulnerability was weakness. And like a ghost in the machine, They hijack your choices. You cling to toxic relationships, self-sabotage success, or chase hollow goals, all while wondering, why do I keep doing this? The answer lies in what Jung called complexes, emotional wounds that act like magnets, pulling you into the same storms again and again. But here's the turning point. You can rewrite the script, not by fighting the shadows, but by lighting a lamp. Jung's method was simple but radical. Observe without judgment. When rage flares, don't suppress it. Ask, whose rage is this? When shame grips you, don't hide. Inquire, when did I first learn? Start with this exercise. For one day, act as if you're a stranger studying your own life. Notice when you people please, the persona masking your true needs. When you procrastinate, the shadow resisting imposed demands. When you project onto others, blaming them for traits you deny in yourself. Each moment of awareness is a crack in the prison walls. The path to real freedom isn't rebellion against the world, it's rebellion against the unconscious. When Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life," he gave you the master key. The question is, will you use it? Here's the final truth, the lie that keeps millions trapped. You are powerless. It's the oldest trick of the unconscious, the last gasp of the shadow. But now you know better. Freedom begins the moment you stop asking for permission, from others, from society, even from your own fears. Speak the unspoken thought. Claim the disowned desire. Stand in the fire of your own truth and watch the chains turn to dust. This isn't just psychology, it's alchemy. The lead of conditioning becomes the gold of self-mastery. And the best part, no one can take it from you. Because the freedom Jung offers isn't out there. It's in the one place no one else can reach, the depths of your own awakened mind. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you feel controlled by a person, a habit, an old wound, remember, they're only as strong as the unconsciousness you grant them. Withdraw the fuel of ignorance, and the fire dies. That's the promise of Jung's wisdom. That's how nothing and nobody controls you ever again. This is where your real life begins, not when circumstances change, but when your relationship to them transforms. Jung's greatest revelation wasn't about analyzing the unconscious. It was about becoming conscious enough to stop being its puppet. Right now, you're standing at a threshold. On one side, the familiar prison of automatic reactions, where you blame parents, partners, or fate for your suffering. On the other, the uncharted territory of true adulthood, where every emotion is information, every obstacle is initiation, and every shadow contains lost gold.